Think about this for a second. We currently live in what is arguably the safest, most comfortable era in human history. I mean, we've got climate-controlled homes, we can literally tap a screen to have practically any food on Earth delivered to our front doors, and modern medicine has wiped out diseases that used to devastate entire populations. We are more connected and more entertained than any generation before us, and yet, welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack a deeply unsettling paradox. Why, despite living in this incredibly secure time, millions of us are waking up with this lingering anxiety, a sort of strange emptiness, and this constant nagging feeling that something fundamental is just missing.
It's a question so many of us ask ourselves in those quiet moments, isn't it? Why does happiness just keep slipping away? We're surrounded by all this unprecedented comfort, but it frequently feels like happiness is just water slipping right through our fingers. And naturally, we blame ourselves. We think, oh, I just haven't found the right job yet, or I need the right partner, or I just need a better lifestyle. We genuinely believe that if we just fix our external circumstances, that internal void is going to vanish. But what if this feeling isn't a modern societal flaw or a personal failure at all?
The unsettling truth we're exploring today is actually right here. Your brain was literally never designed to make you happy. Seriously, this isn't some weird biological glitch, and it's definitely not a mistake in your personal development. It is a hidden code, hardwired deep inside the fundamental architecture of your brain. And the primary function of that code? It heavily prioritizes keeping you alive over making you joyful. Those are two fundamentally different things, and honestly, confusing them is the source of so much unnecessary suffering today.
Section 1. Built for survival, not joy. Let's jump right into this and see how our ancient ancestors' brutally harsh environments actually shaped the exact nervous system we're still carrying around right now. Okay, so for hundreds of thousands of years, survival was completely uncertain. Every single day. One tiny mistake usually meant death. Because of that, our brains developed an incredibly powerful mechanism that psychologists call the negativity bias. Basically, a single dangerous event had to leave a massive, permanent imprint on your nervous system, way stronger than dozens of pleasant ones. Why? Well, forgetting a moment of pleasure, like, say, eating a really tasty berry, that's just a bummer. But forgetting danger, like a predator hiding in the brush, means your lunch. Evolution did not care about your good vibes. It only cared about keeping you breathing. So your brain is literally hardwired to obsess over the negative.
And this comparison perfectly illustrates our current predicament. Look at the stark contrast here. Our ancient threats were immediate and physical, right? Predators, starvation, disease, exile from the tribe. Today, our threats are wildly different. Financial uncertainty, painful social rejection, relentless online judgment, status anxiety. But here is the massive problem. Our nervous system reacts identically to both. Your brain literally treats a harsh comment on social media or a rejected presentation at work as if a tiger is chasing you. It simply cannot distinguish between a physical danger and a psychological one.
Section 2. The truth about dopamine. This ancient survival wiring brilliantly sets up our next point, which explains exactly why we continuously chase more without ever actually feeling satisfied.
You know the feeling. You desperately want something. The newest smartphone, a big promotion, maybe a specific relationship. You finally get it, and the excitement just totally fades almost immediately. That right there is called hedonic adaptation. Your brain rapidly adjusts to any improved condition. What felt totally extraordinary yesterday is just the boring new normal today. And it makes sense. Evolution actively rewarded organisms that kept seeking improvement. If satisfaction lasted forever after eating just one good meal, our motivation to gather more food or build warmer shelters would completely disappear, making us super vulnerable. So your brain intentionally evolved to reward the pursuit itself, not the possession.
Now, this quote is absolutely fascinating because it completely flips our common understanding of dopamine. We always hear dopamine called the pleasure chemical, right? The stuff that hits when you eat chocolate or win a game. But modern neuroscience shows us that dopamine is actually all about expectation, prediction, and the intense thrill of the chase. Your dopamine system activates the most, not when you secure the reward, but when the reward might arrive in the near future. That is exactly why so many people aren't really addicted to achievement at all. They're entirely addicted to the anticipation.
And here is exactly where modern life sets a very deliberate, very effective trap for us. Think about what completely dominates our daily lives. Infinite social media algorithms, constant smartphone notifications, text messages, intermittent gambling rewards, mindless, endless scrolling. Modern tech has become terrifyingly good at exploiting this exact ancient circuitry. It uses intermittent rewards, the idea that the next swipe, the next notification, or refreshing that food delivery app just one more time might bring something great. It traps our brains in this exhausting, continuous loop of waiting and refreshing. These apps, they're not competing to maximize your happiness. They are directly competing for your attention by hijacking your ancient survival software.
Which brings us to Section 3, Ancient Brains, Modern Overload. Let's see what happens when we drop this prehistoric survival brain squarely into our hyper-stimulated modern world.
So a really crucial takeaway here is that even during totally peaceful moments, your nervous system is constantly scanning the horizon for the next threat. Anxiety isn't necessarily a malfunction or broken switch in your brain. Actually, it's a highly evolved survival prediction system. Historically, moments of deep calm could violently become moments of lethal danger without any warning at all, so your brain inherently thinks prolonged calmness is incredibly suspicious. It's constantly scanning for instability to keep you prepared, and that is exactly why true, quiet peace can sometimes feel so profoundly uncomfortable to us.
Now, add to that baseline anxiety, the immense psychological overload we universally face today. Our nervous system slowly evolved over millennia to handle the relatively simple social dynamics of small tribes, maybe 50 to 100 people max. Today, we are abruptly forced to process millions of global opinions daily. We endure endless, impossible social comparisons with highly curated lives, we suffer artificial light disruption, and we fight constant algorithmic attention warfare. Human beings were literally never meant to absorb this crushing volume of information. Our ancient brains are just completely overwhelmed by the demand to constantly process all of this without any real restorative rest.
Section 4. Redefining human peace. This massive evolutionary mismatch leads us directly to a very strange modern consequence. We live in a culture that constantly tells us to optimize ourselves, right? To just choose to be happier, to be perfectly productive 24/7. But human emotions evolved to naturally fluctuate. Sadness, fear, loneliness, stress. Guys, these aren't glitches. They aren't moral failures. They actually have vital protective functions. The brain uses discomfort as critical data about our environment. Yet modern culture increasingly treats this totally natural discomfort as a personal failure. And that creates this terrible, endless internal conflict where we get stressed out just because we are feeling stressed. We're effectively fighting our own emotional alarm systems instead of pausing to listen to the valuable information they're trying to give us.
And this brings us to a wonderfully profound and honestly really encouraging realization. By truly understanding why the mind behaves the way it does, you can finally step back and just take a breath. The ultimate goal isn't to force yourself into some rigid, impossible state of permanent happiness, because as we've learned, that is biologically impossible. The real goal is awareness. When you know exactly why you're craving stimulation or why sitting in peace feels so deeply unfamiliar, you can actually see these ancient mechanisms operating in real time. And sometimes, beautifully, just understanding the system is entirely enough to stop being controlled by it.
Perhaps happiness was always meant to appear in fleeting moments. Just quietly resting between periods of necessary struggle and inevitable change. The absolute first step toward genuine, lasting peace is not demanding that your brain magically becomes something evolution never designed it to be. Instead, it's about finally accepting its true purpose. Your brain was built to survive massive, life-threatening storms. It literally wasn't built to remain permanently, blissfully comfortable after the weather clears.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder over the next few days. The next time you sit quietly and feel that strange modern emptiness or that creeping anxiety when everything around you seems totally fine, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep fighting your ancient nervous system, assuming you're somehow broken and need to be fixed? Or will you use this newfound awareness to profoundly change your relationship with your own mind, finally realizing it's simply an ancient machine desperately trying to protect you? The choice of how you decode your own human experience is entirely yours.